Goblin Reddit. Today's story is...
My sister-in-law destroyed my father's last memory after rejecting my CAR as charity and now faces the devastating consequences of her unforgivable act. Some months ago, my husband's sister ended her marriage. Her former partner threw her out of the house after she suggested transforming their relationship into something more liberal. To give you some context, she has twins. She became pregnant at a very young age, which led to her hasty marriage to her boyfriend at the time. For several years, she has repeatedly commented on how she regrets having missed out on those carefree moments of youth that many enjoy in their early 20s. She constantly expresses her regret at not having been able to go out, have fun, and live life on her own terms before taking on so many obligations. For this reason, I wasn't too surprised when she started to raise the idea of a non-exclusive relationship with her husband. However, this proposal caused great conflict in their relationship until he finally decided to end it. Apart from child support, she received very little after the separation. To complicate her situation even more, she was unemployed, which forced her to move back in with her mother. Seeing her difficulties, my husband and I decided to encourage her to look for work. We wanted to help her get back on her feet, and I even spent time improving her CV, thus increasing her chances of finding something. Recently, after a lot of effort, she got a job in a nearby restaurant. It's a good start, although the establishment is quite a distance from where she lives. Without her own transport, she depended on public transport, taking buses every day to get around. As a single mother with 2 young children, I felt empathy for her. To be clear, I don't support open relationships, but at least she was honest about her desires instead of deceiving her partner on the sly. Returning to the subject, these daily journeys not only consumed valuable time but also added additional pressure to her already complicated existence. During my university years, Dad gave me his used vehicle. Over time, I put effort into renovating it, turning it into something I really appreciated. I used it for a long time, and it held many associated memories. However, this year I bought a new one, but kept the old one because it worked perfectly as a backup for emergencies. Occasionally my husband or I would use it when our main cars needed maintenance. Reflecting on the circumstances of my husband's sister, I realized that this vehicle could make her life much easier. Public transportation robbed her of precious moments that she could spend with her children or simply resting after work. So, after consulting with my husband, we decided to give her my old car for free. The vehicle was in excellent condition, and we even made sure to fill the tank before handing it over to her. On the day of the delivery, we drove to his mother's house, where she currently resides. When we handed her the keys and explained that it now belonged to her, she was completely astonished. She knew how much that car meant to me, and it was a truly emotional moment. She showed gratitude and was moved by our gesture. After processing it, she sincerely thanked us and happily accepted the gift. However, today, just one day after giving her the car, I received a call from her mother. Before sharing the conversation, let me describe her personality, as it is relevant. My husband's mother embodies the classic stereotype of the problematic mother-in-law. From our first meeting, I knew she would be like that. The impression was so intense that I have never forgotten it. Over time, my husband has told me anecdotes about her apparently habitual behavior. Both he and his sister have learned to tolerate it because, according to him, that's just how she is. My mother-in-law seems permanently angry or irritated, as if something were constantly bothering her, causing her to resent everything. She doesn't hesitate to rant at anyone, whether they are family members, strangers, or workers, simply doing their jobs. For example, when you take her out to dinner, she finds reasons to complain about even the smallest detail, just to reprimand the waiter. If you visit a park, she gets annoyed with children playing nearby and ends up complaining to their parents for not controlling them. She has even caused scandals over issues such as environmental noise or weather conditions, as if the world should adapt to her preferences. Furthermore, they apparently lack awareness of how their actions affect others. They play videos or music on their phone at full volume, even in public spaces or while others are trying to relax. If someone kindly suggests they use headphones, they immediately become defensive and start shouting as if we were acting irrationally. And that's not all. She can be incredibly ignorant and inappropriate, frequently making offensive comments towards people of color or anyone she perceives as different. The worst thing is that she acts as if these comments are harmless, minimizing them even though she has clearly embarrassed everyone around her. Her behavior generates constant tension between my husband and me, which is why we choose to stay away from her. We only allow her presence when it is absolutely necessary. I try to avoid her whenever I can. However, to be honest, the feeling is mutual. She doesn't like me either. In her eyes, I represent the opposite of her values. For example, we hire domestic service to take care of all the household chores. I don't lift a finger to clean or cook, and my husband never complains. We both contribute with our income because we value our free time. But for my mother-in-law, this is unacceptable. According to her, I should stop working and take care of these tasks personally. It makes no sense because I am more productive in my job than doing those tasks. If I lost my job and couldn't find another one, I would do it. I have no problem. But she makes everything a problem. What really infuriates her is our decision not to have children. Because of this, we enjoy spending our money on ourselves, traveling, eating out, practicing our hobbies, something she detests. She considers it selfish and is convinced that I brainwashed her son. She believes that before he met me, he wanted a traditional life with children and a wife dedicated to the home. But she is completely wrong. My husband loves our current life. At the beginning of our relationship, he constantly pressured me to get pregnant. He insisted that the female life is meaningless without children, that I would regret it when I got older. When I maintained my firm stance, he became even more unpleasant. He started spreading the word among relatives that I was infertile and that his poor son was suffering because of me. He made it seem that I was unable to conceive and that the decision to remain childless was not mutual but exclusively mine. This caused a big argument where, fortunately, my husband defended me. He made it clear to everyone that we had decided together not to have children. He told his mother that he fully shared my commitment to a life without children. He also expressed his fury at her attempt to damage my reputation. Although I appreciated his support, the situation left a bitter taste. Even after the conflict, my mother-in-law never apologized. Since then, she has practically ignored me, which is fine by me because I do the same. Nowadays, we both keep our distance, a mutually beneficial arrangement. Regarding the call I received today, I was surprised to see her name on the screen. She normally contacts my husband directly. I decided to answer thinking it might be important. What was important was to accuse me of daring to give her daughter a damaged vehicle. According to her, offering that car was an offense. She claimed that her daughter was not a desperate pauper, and that I had no right to humiliate her by giving her what she called an old and battered vehicle. I explained that although it was old, it was in perfect condition. My husband and I used it regularly when we needed extra transportation, so it was not neglected or unreliable. It had all its services up to date. She interrupted me and started shouting again, saying that if we really wanted to help, we should have bought her a new car because she needed safety and comfort. My mother-in-law felt entitled to dictate what we should and shouldn't give as gifts. I replied politely throughout the conversation, although my patience was wearing thin. I pointed out that her daughter could eventually save up to buy her own car. We had no obligation to help her. We were just trying to make things easier for her. That's why we didn't invest in something expensive or luxurious. This car represented a practical solution to her current situation. That was the intention behind the gift. Of course, my mother-in-law rejected my explanation. She argued that we were behaving stingily because we had plenty of money saved up from not having children. Money that, according to her, we could put to better use taking care of her daughter, who had supposedly been abandoned to suffer. I sighed, so deeply that I was surprised she couldn't hear it over the phone. Let's not forget that my husband's sister is not exactly an innocent victim. She ended her marriage by demanding an open relationship from her husband, who had been loyal and generous. And now, when we were sincerely trying to help her, her mother had the nerve to turn our generosity into a complaint, acting as if we owed her something even more extravagant. I told her that I would pass on her message to her son. I also made it clear that I intended to talk directly to her daughter about the whole situation. I needed to hear personally if she shared these feelings. After all, when we gave her the car yesterday, she seemed genuinely grateful and pleasantly surprised by the gesture. Now, after my mother-in-law's reaction, I felt the need to confirm it. I wanted to know if she really considered the gift as some kind of insult, or if this simply represented another unnecessary drama created by her mother. I feel there is an issue of gratitude here. My husband and I are under no obligation to help his sister. It was simply a kind gesture. If they are not satisfied, they can return it and buy the car of their dreams. Am I the one in the wrong for giving my old car to my husband's sister when she was going through a difficult time? Update 1. After reading all your comments and reflecting deeply on the situation, I decided to back off and handle this carefully. First, I knew I should wait until I could discuss it with my husband. I didn't want to jump to conclusions or act impulsively. When we both arrived home from work, I told him everything that had happened. His reaction was practically identical to mine. He was surprised by his mother's pretentious and demanding attitude. After listening to me, he decided to address the situation directly. He took his phone and contacted his sister, inviting her to lunch at our house the following day. We agreed that a face-to-face conversation was the best way to handle this. That way we could clarify everything, hear her side of the story, and make sure there were no misunderstandings about the vehicle or our intentions in giving it to her. We want to make it clear that we gave her the car as a kindness and to help her through this difficult time, not because we considered her to be in need as her mother insinuated. If there is any confusion, or if our actions were misinterpreted, we want to resolve it directly with her. Because in the end, this only concerns the three of us. Her mother simply likes to interfere where she is not invited. We feel that an honest conversation is preferable to allowing the situation to turn into unnecessary drama. Update 2. Today we finally had my husband's sister over for lunch. Honestly, it was significant that thanks to the car we gave her, she was able to bring her 2 little ones. The children seemed happy playing in our garden. We thought this would be the perfect moment to clarify the situation. While the children were having fun, the 3 of us talked in the living room. We didn't beat around the bush and mentioned directly what her mother had told me on the phone. We told her exactly what she had said and asked if she shared that opinion. We wanted to know if she also considered the car to be a kind of insult. And despite having been able to bring her children to our house and having used it for her work in recent days, she admitted that she agreed with her mother. Although she acknowledged that our intentions were good, she confessed that she felt hurt and thought that we had been stingy not to buy her a new car. According to her, it wouldn't mean much to us, as we could easily afford it. My husband, visibly annoyed like me, asked her why she didn't simply refuse the car if she didn't like it. Her answer was even worse. She wanted to refuse it, but, lacking alternatives at the time, she had to accept it quietly. Basically, she admitted that she used the vehicle out of necessity, but insisted on making it clear that she didn't consider it good enough for her. At that moment, it became painfully evident how ungrateful she was being. We had gone to the trouble of helping her through a difficult period, and instead of appreciating our intention behind the gift, she focused on what we didn't do. The whole situation began to affect me deeply. I was treating my precious old car, my only tangible memory of my father, as something unworthy. I had given it to her sincerely, hoping to make her life easier, but now I felt as if she had completely despised me. If she really thought that, why should I continue trying to help her? Besides, why were she and her mother so obsessed with our money? Did they really believe that we had unlimited resources to give them? Both my husband and I work extremely hard for everything we have. Every penny comes from countless hours dedicated to our jobs. And they, without making half the effort, believe they have a right to our money. I decided enough was enough. After seeing their ingratitude, I told him directly that he was right. We shouldn't have given him my old car. If he considered it unworthy, he should leave the keys before leaving after lunch, because I no longer felt comfortable giving it to him. Her face reflected surprise, and she immediately tried to argue that it was more offensive to take the vehicle away from her now. I didn't understand why she would want to take back a gift supposedly intended to help her. I replied that if she couldn't be grateful for the help she had received, then she had no right to complain. But seeing that she would be left with nothing, she tried to negotiate that, as she no longer needed the car, she should sell it and give her the money so that she could start saving for a new one. I had no intention of selling something with enormous sentimental value and handing her the money, only for her to find a new way to show her ingratitude. Fortunately, my husband intervened before I completely lost my patience. He told her directly that her behavior was ridiculous and that our help was finished. We were kind and she responded with ingratitude, so there would be no more assistance or favors. From that moment on, she and her children would have to fend for themselves. This deeply upset my husband's sister. She began to raise her voice, calling us stingy. She insisted that we could easily give her money, instead of making her children suffer because of our supposed greed. I wasn't surprised to see how quickly she went from accepting help to attacking us for trying to help her, nor how she used her little ones to generate pity. My husband, even more furious, reproached her for not using her children to pretend to protect them, because apparently she didn't care so much about them when she needed an open marriage. She shouted even more, arguing that the children were not involved, and that it was her ex's fault for not being able to separate the issues, deciding to punish the children to hurt her. She accused my husband of not behaving like a real brother, as a genuine one would at least help her out with some extra money every month, as her job in the restaurant did not pay much. That was when my husband really set limits. He made it clear that he would not provide her with money on a monthly basis just so that she would stay at home doing nothing. He explained that if she genuinely wanted to improve her situation by seeking better education or training to get a better paid job, he would gladly support her. But he would not give her money without justification. And if that happened, he would pay directly to the place where she chose to train, but no free cash. This infuriated her sister. She quickly picked up her children, muttered a few words, and left. She left the car key, the only thing that really mattered to me at that moment, and requested transportation through an app. Later, I received a long message from her, apparently trying to upset me more. She complained again about our selfishness and how a few $100s a month could help her and her children enormously. I have not responded, knowing that it would only increase the conflict and waste my time. I have ignored the message. Update 3. To those who suggest that we could help her because it would not represent a great economic sacrifice, I reply this. If we start to assist her now, she could progressively expect more from us, something that concerns us considerably. This is especially evident after the episode with the car. If she had not shown this attitude of entitlement to our money, the situation could be different. We could indeed send her a few $100s a month without it significantly affecting us, but honestly, there is no guarantee that she would use it wisely. Would she spend it on what is really important, such as her children's needs or improving her situation? Or would she simply waste it on looking for relationships? We don't want to make it easy for her to depend on us when she could really strive to progress independently. Regarding your children, of course we love them and we care about them. We have always given them valuable gifts at Christmas and birthdays, and if they later need assistance for university or something truly significant, we will definitely support them. But right now, our priority is to ensure that your mother learns to be more self-sufficient. In fact, your sister already has considerable advantages. She lives rent-free, something that many people cannot even imagine. In addition, her children's expenses are covered by their father. All she has to do is work and support herself like any adult. It doesn't seem like an unreasonable demand. We believe she should stop depending on others and take control of her life. Ultimately, we just want her to take responsibility for her own future. We're happy to support her emotionally and help when she really needs it, but we refuse to accept that she should adopt the mentality of deserving assistance simply because she's family. In addition, after our conversation with her mother tried to pressure my husband to give in to her sister's demands. My husband did not allow manipulation. He made it perfectly clear to her that, although he understood the difficulties his sister was going through, money would not magically solve her problems. He warned her that, from that moment on, we would not allow ourselves to be manipulated by her guilt or demands. We would not continue to be treated as an inexhaustible source of resources. Update 4. One morning a few months ago, I was leaving for work when I discovered that the car my father had given me had a broken light and part of the bumper detached. I called my husband to have a look and asked him if he knew what had happened. He said no, and said that it was fine when he had arrived home last night. We reviewed a neighbor's security footage, which allowed us to easily figure out what happened. The footage showed my husband's sister attacking my car while her children waited inside another vehicle parked a short distance away. We later found out why, but let me conclude this part. She had taken one of our garden ornaments, knocking a light and damaging the bumper, which ended up coming off. Then she ran away. Another camera, located further away, captured her mother's car. Indeed, she has her own vehicle, but she never lent it to her daughter. Until now, we soon discovered that her mother knew what had happened. Apparently, she goes to bingo every week and couldn't look after her grandchildren, forcing her daughter to bring them while she left her at the venue. They could have accompanied her, but the mother is extremely superstitious. She doesn't even allow her daughter to accompany her because, according to her, she always loses when she's present. On discovering this, I was furious, indescribably annoyed when we understood everything previously related. That day we were late for work, but on returning we decided our next steps. We considered contacting the police immediately, but we preferred to attack where it would hurt the most, their finances. So, in addition to informing her ex-husband and sharing the recordings with him, we also met to warn him about possible legal action for damages. His terrified expression, together with that of his mother, was enough to get us a check covering the repairs. We had previously taken the vehicle to the workshop and obtained an estimate, so we cashed the check and got our money back. For those who may be interested, the car was perfectly repaired. Not only did we replace the damaged light, but we also replaced the detached part with a new one. The check was written by her mother, as the repair probably cost more than 2 weeks of work for her daughter. I don't mention it disparagingly. I simply repeat what she argued as we debated whether to report the crime or accept the payment. She tried to avoid our financial demands by claiming that it would be too much for her daughter. However, weeks later, the ex-husband contacted me to say that although the videos were useful, he needed a formal complaint to strengthen his petition for full custody. So we proceeded. If we had signed any documents stipulating that in exchange for the check we would renounce making a complaint again, we probably would not have been able to do it. We were lucky because we did everything personally and they paid immediately without leaving any written record or messages about our agreement. We filed the complaint and she received community service, ironically quite far from her work. Now, when she leaves the restaurant at noon, she has to use public transportation to get to where her community service begins. Certainly, that old and damaged car she attacked would be tremendously useful to her now. Thanks to this, the father obtained full custody, arguing that the mother endangered her children by leaving them alone in a vehicle overnight while she committed a crime. Now he doesn't even have to continue paying child support, even though she no longer has mouths to feed. I don't know why she never received alimony. She has never shared those details with us, although we can imagine the reasons. Fortunately, despite all this, we have not received any further trouble. We know they are probably furious with us, but they can't do anything to us knowing that there are cameras all over the neighborhood. We even installed some additional ones around our property for security, both ours and our neighbors. We never know when our recordings could help someone, as they helped us. For those who think we treated our nephews inappropriately, read this. Our relationship with them remains unchanged. Our conflict has always been exclusively with the grandmother and the mother. They were a large part of our motivation for giving the car to their mother, allowing her to take them wherever she wanted. If we had considered the vehicle unsafe, we would not have used it ourselves. Even less so knowing that it would transport our nephews. This car has always received proper maintenance. It is simply old, not dangerous or useless, which are completely different concepts.